Hey folks, welcome back to Good Enough Customs. So this week, a little bit more on Little John. Yeah. So last week we got this thing running pretty damn good. We did a rebuilt carburetor, new wires, cleaned up the cap and the rotor, new plugs, did a little tuning on it. What I didn't show you was I finally did get my carb spacer in. But it posed a different issue where it's only got the outside bolts. It doesn't have the inside bolts. So that led me to yesterday. It's Sunday, by the way. that led me to yesterday having to get the throttle bracket, get that guy off and modify it. So I'm using the factory throttle cable bracket on this guy. And, which should have taken like 20 minutes, ended up being like almost an hour and a half, something like that. So these guys, I've already finished it up. So I've just got it hanging here to dry, but it only mounts on these inside ones. And since I don't have provisions for that, I'm kind of SOL. So I knocked this rivet out, drilled that hole out, that works. And then this little piece, about 3/4 of the way through this bottom hole right here is where it ended before. So I found another piece of metal. It's about 14 gauge, welded it up, and then took and drilled that hole out. So now I've got the outside mounts. So got all that done yesterday. Then the day just kind of fell apart and got away from me. So I didn't get a whole lot done yesterday. So now here we are, Sunday. I need to get my editing done to get the video out for tomorrow. And I just crawled up underneath the truck looking at the Hydro Boost stuff because that's what I'd planned on working on this weekend. I crawled up underneath the truck and took a peek, and my steering gearbox is leaking. Probably coming from the seal at the end of the shaft. The input shaft seal, I guess would be what you would say. I also noticed on my power steering pump, it's wet on the back. There's very little fluid in this guy, but it's enough to where it's leaking out, at the back. So I think I'm going to end up having to replace this guy. I know I've got a couple of pumps laying around. One might work, one definitely won't work because of the mounting bracket style and all that stuff. So, it shouldn't be too terribly bad to pull that pump off and do all that. But I do know all the lines on the back are they are pure joy in dealing with the pump. The lines on the back of the pump. They are just, those things are a nightmare. But we're not going to do all that stuff today. I'm short on time. I have started this truck and let it run, 3, 4, 5 times throughout the week. Let it get up to temperature and shut it down, just trying to get those rings to turn loose and do their job. The oil smoke is definitely a lot less than it was, but it's still there. Also, that noise I was saying that I was hearing coming from this side of the motor, it's not quietening down. So I've either got a lifter that's collapsed and is not pumping up, or I've got a bent push rod, or I've got a rocker that needs adjustment. So I think today, before I do anything else, I'm gonna pull this valve cover and we're gonna see what exactly is going on here. We're gonna kind of try to figure that out. So so I guess that's where we're going to get started. When it comes to the steering and the Hydro Boost system, I'll probably end up, since I'm, like I said, short on time today, I'll probably just work on that this week and see if I can't get the pump off and see if my other pump will work, and maybe see if I can't figure out what to do with that steering gearbox. If I can reseal it or if I got to take it off or whatever. All that sounds terrible, but I definitely don't have time for all that today. So that's going to be something I'll have to do throughout the week. So, all right, let's get in here. Let's pull this valve cover and see if we can't figure out what in the world's going on in here. Let's see. First things first, we're going to have to move some plug wires. It looks like they'll all move out of the way. Let's get that plug wire ain't. So number 4. Number 4 can just come off. Let's pull our PCV valve. Get that off of there. That wiring might be a problem, so we'll disconnect it here. right. Let's get this thing off. Maybe. So the sounds I was getting from this guy, or from what I was hearing, almost sounded like it was coming from number 6 or number 8, but sounds can be misleading. That one's good and tight. That one's tight. Okay. So right now everything feels good and tight. I'm gonna bump the motor over and check it again and see if we can figure out what in the world's going on here. You know, rather than running back and forth, we're gonna go grab the old party pistol, and that way I can just bump it over right here. So let me go down here and hook it up, and we'll get to moving on this guy. Yeah, if you don't have one of these and you're monkeying around with motors and stuff, these things will save you a ton of time, especially if you're by yourself. One side goes to the hot post, the other side goes to the solenoid. Then all you got to do is just hit the trigger, and it'll roll over. We're just going to turn this guy over a little bit just to kind of see what the valve train looks like as she's moving. It actually all looks just fine. What is that noise I'm hearing? All right, let's see. So number 6 looks like it's completely closed right now. There's a little bit of wobble there. Yeah, we might tighten up that guy. So one way you can look at it is if your exhaust valve's open, then your intake valve is going to be closed. So if it's down, it's open. If it's up, it's closed. So we can see number 6, both sides are closed. Number 4, we've got intake closed, exhaust open. Number 2, we've got intake closed, or exhaust closed, intake open. And number 8, it looks like it's in the process of opening and closing, one or the other. All right, so we're going to adjust our valve lash basically on these guys. Like I said, the sound sounded like it was coming from back here. We don't have a ton of room, but we are a little loose. These guys should have 0 lash, so that means that our rocker arm should not move. But yeah, with 0 lash, we shouldn't. Basically what it is we are syncing up the rocker all the way up to the valve, and the lash comes in, or the gap comes in from the hydraulic lifters. So this guy, like I said, he's not crazy loose, but he's loose enough. So the way you set lash on these guys is you get them at top dead center, which that one looks to be at top dead center, where both valves are closed. So with that, you take and you run it till it stops moving, and then you give it a quarter turn. And then that will adjust that rocker and that valve to where, okay, see now I have no movement, so we'll go quarter turn, and that's good and solid. We're gonna do the same here, which wasn't much, and we'll go quarter turn. Ugh. Good and solid. Number 8, that's closed. So we'll give him a little snug. That's good. Quarter turn. Now we're just going to run through all of them real quick. Okay. Now we'll bump him over. Now we've got our number 8 exhaust. We can bump him. And quarter turn. Yeah, we're not quite all the way up on that guy yet. Okay. That one feels like he's about bottomed out. Okay. Now we're just going to crank him over and just kind of watch everything. Might not get that hung up in the... Now we're just going to go back through and just check, make sure everything's good. Now we can just slap the valve cover back on and we'll get her started back up and see what happens. Definitely found the problem. It's not the valve. I never did even look, but let's see. If you pay attention way back here in the back, you'll notice there ain't no bolt head on that back cylinder. So it's an exhaust leak. Yeah, that back bolt head apparently has been broke off. So pretty much going to be a fact of life, just having to listen to it, you know, with that little clack. And that's just, it's an exhaust leak off the header. So not much I can do about that other than, you know, pull the header off and get that bolt out. But it's way back there, and that way back there trying to extract the bolt is not my idea of a good time at all. So what are you gonna do? All right, well, since we got this thing running, you know, let me get a jack. I'm gonna jack the front of this guy up, and maybe we can actively see where we're leaking out of on the hydro boost stuff. So let me get a jack, get the front end pulled up a little bit, and I'll catch back up here in a minute. All right, I know this guy's about dry, so we're gonna go ahead and put some power steering fluid in it. Man, it ain't got much in there. So we're gonna put a little steering fluid in it, just kind of see what happens. Well, at least now we know exactly what the problem is. We definitely have an issue going on right here with this pump. Put a little fluid in it, and that thing started screaming like a banshee. So pump's definitely smoked. I'm not going to use the 2 used ones I have. One isn't even the same design. It's actually for a remote reservoir type power steering pump or hydro boost pump. The other one is, well, the other one's been sitting outside in the weather for 3 or 4 years, and it worked fine when I put it out there. It probably doesn't anymore. But plus, a new pump is, or a reman pump is like $55, $60, something like that. It's real cheap. So whatever, I'll just go ahead and do that. So we'll do that, and then I'll also do a little homework and see what I can't find out about replacing on the steering box down here, replacing that input shaft seal, because that's what appears to be leaking. So we'll see how involved that is, if it's possible, if anybody even sells the parts for that. Honestly, don't know, but we'll find out. Good news is that we did figure out where that little tick's coming from. So, you son of a... But I will say, coming way back there on number 8, that out, the very rearmost bolt head being broke off, I am not going to fix that. There's not a whole lot of room back there to operate. It's just, if it was up here on like number 2, sure, I'd go for it. But being way back there, it'll be fine. We'll just call that one of the endearing features of Little John. It kind of keeps time, it's kind of a little But other than that, we're almost road ready. As soon as we get the hydro boost stuff sorted out, get that new pump on there, hopefully the input shaft seal sorted out, bleed the air from the system, which is an absolute pain in the butt on these things. We'll go over that process whenever we do all the other stuff. The only other thing left to do is electrical. We'll even turn the lights on. I think I still got the battery hooked up. Yep. So I did look at this the other day, and this is what we got. I got lights here, and I got absolutely no lights here at all. And then if we come on back to the back, oh yeah, my cab lights, almost all of them work. That middle one's down, but that's fine. But if we come back here to the back, I got this outside running light. All I got to do, have a running light there, and I got a running light here. But we do have at least some lights. So I'll have to figure out what's going on over here on the passenger front, why all 3 lights right there are not working. Could be a bad ground, could be all 3 bulbs are blown. Doubt it, but we'll figure that out. I think I've got another signal light lens. If not, I think I can steal the one off the military truck for now. Yeah, so I've still got to go through the lights and figure out what's going on there. There's a lot of them aren't working. If I remember correctly, the brake light wasn't working. Of course, my markers here along the tailgate, they aren't working. That's not really surprising. The dually fender lights, they're not working. So, there's a bunch of lights that aren't working. I'm not really worried about every single light working. I mean, heck, I don't even have a lens on this dually fender up here. So we'll go over all that electrical stuff, after we figure out how to get this thing to steer and stop, really well. So, so with all that, I guess we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up. I apologize. This week just kind of fell apart on me. It happens. I hate it, but it does happen. But I do appreciate y'all guys watching and sticking with me through this one. If you like the video, go ahead and hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. It doesn't hurt nothing. It just helps. Also, if y'all guys want to follow me on social media, my information is down below. Don't worry, I don't blow up social media. I just post, if it's something kind of neat, I'll throw a picture out every once and again. But that's pretty much it. And speaking of social media, I have started posting a little bit on TikTok. I did have a few just random things I threw out there just to have stuff out there. But I'm slowly working through older videos and chopping them way down and trying to shorten them down to just, minute and a half to 2 minute parts, and try to chop them up and, really condense it down. So if you're on TikTok and you want to follow me, my handle on TikTok's @goodenuffcustoms. It's all all down there in the description. So, but I do appreciate it, folks. And we'll see y'all guys next week. And just remember, it ain't got to be perfect. Just good enough. We'll see y'all later.